Hello, Samadan here, and wow, 9.2 is really hotting up now. We've got some exciting things coming out with this week. We had the Crafter's Mark 4 and the Crafter's Mark of the first ones became available. Everyone rushing to get honoured. I can tell you now my Enlightened is only at 899 of 6,000, so I'm a long way off of that market yet. I'm taking things a little bit more casually here at the moment. I'll go through and show you what I've been up to. So here we have Samadan. We've gone through and done the main storyline so far, Secrets of the First One, so up to Chapter 4. Next week we have Crown of Wills, which opens up the legendary rank 7 market, which should be interesting. I'm not going to go full on with that. I'll see what I can sell with what I've got. As you can see, my gold here is still very, very low after my huge expenses from earlier. Not really recouped that money yet. Had a few interesting sales, couple of legendaries here and there, the odd mount, which is why Bridget's got a little bit of gold there. But really, I'm just sort of ticking things through. My main focus has been to try and get my characters through Zereth Mortis. We have currently, according to saved instances here, so I have basically got Samadan, Bridget and Earthen, my dual crafter and my engineer and leather worker. They are all up to the same point here with the storyline up to chapter 4. They've all done the world boss, so I'm going for the easy wins here. I haven't got a lot of time with my playstyle, and I really don't want to lose interest and grind it out to try and capture those markets, fleeting as they are. So for me, I've got the slow, steady race and still making sure it's enjoyable first and foremost over anything else. So next week, once reset comes around, I'll do the story chapter for each of these characters, do the world boss again, and try and just get my reputation to tick through until I get to honoured with each of these 4 main ones. Still haven't done the storyline on El Morte yet as well. I have had a little bit of a digression this week as well. As soon as I found out about the enhancement stacking, particularly the speed sets, you can see here, look at the speed of Samadan running around now. It's absolutely brilliant. If I bring over, where's a monkey speed here? So I've got a base mount speed, ground run speed of 320% now. I used to have it just at 210%. And this helps immensely with just running around Zereth Mortis, because we can't fly there yet. My flying speed is at 420 at the moment on all my characters that have all these enhancements. What I've done here is I've used the Progenitor Enhancements as an optional reagent and added in the one, let me have a look, I'll show you here, under the Shadow Lace gear, under the Progenitor Enhancements here, I've added in the Pure Air Cell extensions, which Bridget has been crafting. They're very easy to get that unlocked. There's a couple of rares that unlock it. So I did that, and then I could only craft the eye level 200 gear and 1 230 gear, which I use for the neck, and I put that on all the different slots available, and it all stacks up. So you can see here Samadan has, this is all increases ground mount speed by 10% and 10% and 10% on all of these crafted items, which all stacks up. And so my base speed, just running around, is 143%, which is really handy. I'm not used to going that fast. And with my feather, that goes up to 183, which is really good. This isn't really gold making stuff. This is just ease of life, and it's had so much fun with the game by doing this. So I'm really happy with this at the moment. It's a real nice quality of life. I really hope it doesn't get nerfed. I talk about this a little bit more in the blog, and we'll go through the details of that, because I would like to be able to sell these as sets for other players. There's not really an easy way to do it, unfortunately, both in finding the items and making and listing the items, so we've got a bit of a problem there as well. What I'll probably do is get some specific TSM sets together and maybe do some manual pricing on listing those, and hopefully maybe the players searching for those will actually see these extra enhancements and buy them. It may be something that I have to just add on as a general freebie almost to try and get sales of these items. We'll see how it evolves over time. I need to get up to honoured with everyone first before I really start looking into these markets. But for now, I'm enjoying the game. I'm enjoying running around. So let's go over and have a look at the blog. So here's the Wowhead blog for this week, the 217th edition, so 9.2 is in full swing, and we've already had our own little mini race to world first, as many gold makers have been getting there, honoured with the Enlightened. Like I said myself, I'm not rushing for it, I'm taking my time and enjoying the journey, but others have rushed ahead, maximised their chances, and reaped the benefits of that by being able to set massive prices for those. We'll have a look at this. K-Check has done some very interesting screenshots of a huge amount of sales here of like 100,000 for a lot of these first gears, which is, amazing sales indeed. But those kind of like headline numbers aren't going to last long. In fact, they have already been reported that the prices have dropped right down. So this is kind of like the first mini race, as it were, for gold makers at least. That's to get the Enlightened up to Honoured and start selling the Crafter's Mark 4 gear and the Crafter's Mark of the first one. So that's kind of like the first stage of this. Obviously, adding the Progenitor Enhancements as well adds another flavour to this. We'll talk about that a little bit later as to other windows of markets that we can do. Obviously, next week with Reset, the Crown of Wills storyline opens up, and that means double legendaries, it means rank 7s are opening up. So next week's going to be very, very interesting for those early sales. Those that are ready can capitalise on that, and I think you're going to see prices the same as here. They're going to be really high to start off with, and then very quickly drop down to more of a sort of a steady level. But that's the way of things, really. Those who are in there first can set the prices, and then things will just generally level out. It's not unusual there, really, by any means. So basically here you can see reports on the markets have already dropped down quite significantly. There'll be a small profit margin on these. I think that's fair to say. There's a lot of different gear you can get of a similar kind of level. These are really useful for players who literally just want to gear up quickly and want to throw money at the problem rather than their time, which a lot of people do. I think these markets and this kind of gear is better suited to the long-term investment. You'll see players, once they've finished with their main content, they'll start bringing their alts through, and that's where you'll see them spending money on this gear to just quickly get their item level up nice and easily. So I wouldn't be too despondent if you haven't had any of these high-ticket sales. There's still money to be had, that's for sure. Lazy Goldmaker has a great video going through his experience with a 233, 262 gear. He's been adding Progenitor enhancements onto his, just as a way of thinking of it. It's almost like a freebie extra. Manthius has done the same on his report, so it's very interesting to see them do similar things. These are the people who have spent the time getting up to 100 as quickly as possible and have reaped the benefits. So this brings on to further discussion with the Progenitor enhancements. So there's a whole load of them, lots of really interesting and different optional reagents you can add into your items when you craft them. So additional resources, that could be quite interesting. Armor polish, increase the duration of flasks, elixirs and food. And then you've got extra things for extra damage on various procs. This one I've already demonstrated, the Pure Air sail extensions, really good fun with the movement speed. A brief stat boost there for that one and dual crafting. Harmonizing sound, another stat boost there. Cosmic Protoweave is avoidance, which could be quite interesting. And this one for exploding for damage and healing. So there's some very interesting things here. You can mix and match these, or you can stack them up in one way or the other. But the main problem with these enhancements is they are all added on at the point of crafting. So as a crafter, you've got to think about, okay, well, what am I going to add on to my items to maybe see better sales? Do I go for certain sets, or do I do one of everything of every different type at every different eye level? Do I even add missives in to do certain stats? There's a whole variance of lots of different things here, and there's too many, and you can't really craft one of everything. And the difficulty is add-ons like TSM have difficulty distinguishing other than the item level. So you can't set really specific price points for these unless you're going to go through and do it manually. So it's very difficult as a crafter to be able to set these up and sell them at certain price points. There are certain ways around it, and it's okay in a general rule, but you can't really set it up for specific things. So there's no buy orders or anything like that. either, so other than shouting out in trade chat would be your only other option. And then from the buyer's perspective, you look on the auction house and you can't see them. This is just a typical search for a Shadowlace cloak. You just see a list of prices. You don't know which ones have which enhancements. If there's a little bit of green text here telling you what enhancements some of them had, that would be really nice. But at the moment you have to go through and hover over each of these. This is just in the standard interface. So it's not really that easy for the crafter or the buyer to either make or find these items. They're a great system. I love the fact that you can add flavour to your items and do things to increase their stats. But it's let down by a problem with the auction house interface, really, more so than anything else. I think some sort of filter system or some way of being able to highlight these without having to mouse over every single one would be a really good way of just helping the buyer find these items. And that way, as a seller, we'll start being able to provide these enhancements for our potential buyers. But I don't see that being replaced anytime soon. So I imagine what we will do is end up picking one or two of the most popular out of these enhancements, adding them on by default into our crafted gear, and hoping that the prospective buyer will have a look at these listings and just pick the one that suits them. Mantius has a great video just going through the shortfalls with TSM at the moment, and is providing a TSM group list in this cheat sheet, so give that video a watch and follow the link to his Discord, which will then link you to his cheat sheet and show you the TSM groups there, so you can start selling these if you're already honoured. So if you're at that point, highly recommend going on over there. And then moving on, speed sets go brr. It's the thing that I started off this video talking about. I found it so much fun just running around. This is what I love about crafting. This is what I'd love to see, is things that you can do to enhance your gameplay experience and just make it fun more than anything else. And that is fantastic. Tisenos was the person who led me to this discovery, and there's a really nice write-up over on the WoW Economy Reddit talking through all the different enhancements, what they can do. But this key thing here, all of them stack. We don't know fully how well this is all going to be worked out and how they're going to test. And bear in mind, a lot of this was probably going to be hotfixed in some way, because there's so many different combinations. You don't know what's going to end up being too broken before Blizzard decide to change things. They've already changed the speed set. It used to affect your flying speed as well as your ground mounted speed. It's now, if I scroll down ahead, it was like 530 flying speed, which was great when it lasted, but that's already been hot fixed out, so it's just the ground speed at the moment, which is really good. And go through each of these, what kind of benefits they have, and the fact that additional pieces stack the stats, so you can get some really interesting combinations coming out of this if you're looking for very specific min-maxing on certain gear. Obviously this is not really going to be change anything at the raid level or anything like that. This is mainly down to just convenience and fun, which is I think where it should be at for this kind of gear. Just anything that you can add on and decide to double down on to increase your fun in that kind of area. So I really hope this stays in its current form. I think it's really good. The obvious one here is for me certainly, the speed one was really good. And I've got a little bit of write-up here just going through my own testing on it in terms of like those are the speeds I want. I haven't even added in any sockets into my gear yet. I've done a cloak enchantment. There's probably more I can do that. I'm not by any means a big sort of speed set kind of person. I'm sure people have got speed much higher than this. I think even in this, there's a lovely link here to a guide about unmounted speed here. This was before 9.2. So there's more you can do now that we've got this this extra gear, but it's really easy, and that's the key thing here. You can just buy up a whole set of this gear, get yourself up to 320 mounted speed, which is way better than the 200 mounted speed, and it just makes your life so much more enjoyable when running around Zereth Mortis. Obviously we're going to get flying at some point very soon anyway, so that's not going to be a big issue for most people anyway. But right now, really good fun. I mean, I think what this does highlight is just there are other ways of making gold and other ways of making use of these sets we just don't quite have the right tools to be able to capitalize this on both a seller and a buyer point of view. It's a great idea, really love it, and I hope that Blizzard do more of this. I just think it's lacking a little bit in convenience for the player more than anything else, and that's from the buying and selling point of view on the auction house. Really like to see some updates on that in a future version of WoW. But that's it for the blog for me this week. I hope you've enjoyed that. It's really kind of the next phase in gold making, really looking at legendaries at rank 7 coming up, and then just seeing how this expansion pans out, really. With 9.2, it's going to be a little while, I think, before we then see 9.25 with the cross-faction play. That's going to be interesting in terms of how that works. How many players return for that, I'm not sure. Obviously, we got the interest with the race for the world first, people selling their BOEs over to all the top guilds and all the fun that's used. I'm going to be following that myself. Really looking forward to the races. They're really good fun to watch. So from a gold making perspective, I'm not going to be one of these that really goes hard and tries to capture these markets, but I'm going to have as much fun with the time that I have, and I hope you do too. So until next time, happy gold making, and I'll see you very soon.